Hi, this is Kelsey Blaho, and we are going to be doing the case study for AEP 858, Every Day Counts. So this first section is summary of the case, so what has happened or what is happening. So there is Mr. Rhodes and Superintendent Dr. Newman, and so I'm going to kind of break that down. So the day after his appointment by the board, Mr. Rhodes met with the superintendent, Dr. Newman, on the campus at Golden Oak High School. Dr. Newman described several problems with the student's instructional program that he wanted Mr. Rhodes to improve. The most pressing concern was school attendance. During past years, attendance has declined. Last year, Golden Oak had the lowest percentage of attendance among all high schools in the district. So with that, Mr. Rhodes is looking into 5 students who had truancy rates, come up with a plan and kind of reduce their truancy rates overall. So it's kind of the goal or mission of this case. So when, again, it's at Golden Oak High School, Mr. Rhodes met with Dr. Newman and wanted to help him improve the truancy rates. So in bold, here's kind of the number. There was 5 of the 965 students who had missed more than 10 days during the first semester of the year. And so here's just a little bit more about Golden Oak High School. So again, 965 students, 9th through 12th. Students are offered many different options in terms of after-school activities. It's kind of a mix of different people that are a part of the school and community. There's a lot of different people there. So summary of the case, Mr. Rhodes is a first-year school leader at Golden Oak High School, superintendent, and then here's the 5 students that he is going to look at. Karen, 11th grade student who has A's and B's, her freshman and sophomore year. Married, missing random days and exams. Counselor did nothing, but parents wanted to meet. Tyrone, 10th grade honor student, missing around 14 days in the semester. A lot of time off traveling with parents. And then Christina, freshman, missed 4 days in a row during 3 different weeks in the first semester, excused for out-of-church meetings, homeroom teacher approved, that kind of thing, has C's and D's. There's Carl, a 10th grade student, regular classes, vocational classes. Parents aren't super on board with attendance because they're like, my kid can just work for me. John, a junior and quarterback on the football team, suffered an injury and is just missing a lot of school for that. So these are kind of the 5 big students and cases that Mr. Rhodes is looking at. So here's kind of some of the different parties involved and kind of what they have to say. So Dr. Newman kind of pressured him to look at this, wanting to improve it because, again, it's some of the lowest in the district. So according to the school board policy, which is aligned with the state law, which allowed excused absences only for illness, death in the immediate family, inclement weather, or valid reason excused by the principal with prior approval. Local school districts penalize students' grades for unexcused absences. 5 unexcused in the class. Teacher has the authority to subtract 10 points from the student's total number of points for the quarter. And then Dr. Newman also encouraged him to work closely with juvenile services, that kind of thing, to help with the issue. So Karen's parents had called the counselor's office wanting to meet, so that's one scenario. Tyrone's parents both excused him from week-long vacations during the school year. Christina's algebra teacher was worried. So I know lots of teachers are worried too with grades. So there's a truancy officer that reported Carl's parents. Didn't kind of support the attendance policy, that kind of thing. And then in John's case, it was the athletic director that had signed off on him being able to miss some stuff. So there's kind of a mix of all sorts of different people involved in this. Section 2 is next. Any legal or ethical issues? I don't think that anyone has been harmed by this in any way. I think there might be some, I guess, people upset with this in terms of like parents being upset with the school or students being upset with an admin. So more just upset, but no one's harmed. And then does the action contravene any existing law? Not necessarily a law, but some school board policies, like I mentioned earlier, just getting penalized grade-wise, that kind of thing. The parents might be under some scrutiny, which I'll show you on the next slide. So I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right. Parents patriae. The family itself is not beyond regulation in public interest, acting to guard the general interest in youth's well-being. The state, as parents partie, may restrict the parent's control by requiring school attendance, regulating or prohibiting the child's labor, and in many other ways. So this just kind of outlines a little bit more about a legal case, Prince v. Massachusetts. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court, kind of discussing school-related attendance based on the belief that education is vital to the welfare of the state, and the requirement of education is not an unreasonable or arbitrary exercise of state power. So this just kind of emphasizes the parents' role in it and just kind of the whole family itself. So not just the student, but again, emphasizing the importance of school. Section 3 is just a summary. So Mr. Rhodes is looking at 5 students' truancy issues in order to come up with a school-wide plan to address school truancy issues to help raise that attendance rate. So section 4, so here's kind of our known facts, and then just kind of walks through all the different students just with a quick summary. The place again is Golden Oak High School, programs that might be impacted. So there was mention of a truancy officer. I'm not entirely sure how much the truancy officer helps or kind of what their role is. Truancy consequences, so what might those consequences be for missing? Admin and teacher responsibility for student attendance, what's on them, what's not. I know it's mentioned a few times about the homeroom teacher signing off, which is maybe a little bit different than the principal, so kind of talking through that. And adherence to school district policies by all school personnel. Impact of student attendance on school achievement, so looking at grades and data around that. And then use of data to address student needs. So all of that. And then in section 5, so trying to prioritize and come up with a plan. So could the conflict be damaging to stakeholders? I think there could be some in terms of relationship between admin, parents, students, that kind of thing. Not necessarily the community, but some people might disagree with the consequences and decisions. What individuals and groups have important stake in the outcome? For sure, the students have probably the most important stake. Admin also, but for sure the students, just with, again, their well-being. Have they all been consulted? Yes, I think they have all been consulted because, again, trying to gather as much information as possible, trying to get info from teachers, parents, other students, that kind of thing, I think is really valuable. Can we learn more? I think gathering more data, collecting attendance rates among different demographics, seeing if there's certain trends, time of year, students missing. I know at our school having kind of around those holidays are a big thing, so maybe that was part of it. And then how it affects grades and academic outcome. And then, yes, I think there's enough information to make a decision, but I think there should be more info about the truancy officer too. Section 6. So I didn't necessarily make multiple options, but mine's just one giant plan that has a lot of offshoots to it. So what could I do in this situation? As Mr. Rhodes, I would dive deeper into each situation, gather as much information as possible. So look at each student and kind of go more in depth of why they missed and gather as much info. So next, I would ask lots of teachers for other input because a lot of the teachers there are veteran. Also, admin, just ask for lots of opinion and advice. I might even ask other school districts on their policies as well as their consequences. would gather as much data as possible on student attendance and see if there is a pattern among class periods, time of year, and other demographic information as well. I would have a staff meeting to address absences with all of the staff, what the policies are around tardies, absences, that kind of thing. Allow excused absences only for illness, death, immediate family. Again, going over those policies as well, and maybe change the policy around that. So trying to find, again, gathering more data on what's okay and what's not. So just to continue with that, so here's kind of the next thing. So I kind of broke it down by each student, so I won't go too much in depth, but I think it's important to address the staff as a whole and then each individual case. So with Karen, discuss with the student parent and come up with a plan to finish out the year. Discuss penalty on past and future classes. Tyrone, call parents in and discuss those things. Christina, call parents in and discuss what the policies are, enforce the penalties. For Carl, he has a little bit different situation. I might see if there's a different way. If he's really not into high school, I might try and figure out if there's a different way for him to graduate early. And then for John, I would discuss the issue with the AED and other admin. I would also look at him possibly dropping a class, especially that last period of the day. So those are kind of my solutions. So options, pros, gather as much info as possible, getting input from others, helping each student out individually, connecting with parents, admin, and students. Cons, that takes a lot of time to gather information, and it might not be as beneficial to wait. Parents might be upset not being able to pull their kids out of school. Teachers might be upset with consequences and how it is handled. So there are definitely some pros and cons. Okay, so choosing the best option, I think overall I have the best option because I'm gathering info, getting advice and wisdom, discussing each situation, and then also addressing it as a whole. So I think this plan sounds great. So implement the plan. I know some of the veteran teachers might be upset. Others might be really thankful and really supportive. Some parents might be upset, but I think hopefully they'll understand the importance of education and being there. So who needs to know? Teachers play a large role in this. Parents also need to know, so I'd probably send home an informational letter, emails, that kind of thing, just promote it as much as possible. Other admin, counselors, homeroom teachers, especially those people approving those absences, making policy. So again, maybe the policy needs to change, so looking at that further. And then for sure the students, so lots of advertising within the school, video announcements, that kind of thing, talking about it at homeroom, especially around those vacations and holidays. Again, individual, group basis, so it kind of depends on the situation. School-wide announcement. I also thought maybe this could be kind of fun if students have like a perfect attendance, they can get entered into a raffle. And that we could have some really big prizes for students as kind of incentives if they have like perfect attendance for the next semester. So that was kind of a plan B, is some positive reinforcement and a fun incentive. And then here's just my program standard, integration, and correlation. So overall it correlates to the standard because I feel like I hit all those points. I evaluated, developed, and advocated a data-informed and equitable resourcing plan with my step-by-step process of trying to gather as much information, create a plan, and then address it school-wide. This assignment is relevant to my learning because I know currently we are faced with a huge attendance issue. So as a teacher, currently I am experiencing a lot of that. So trying to think through all the scenarios and how I would handle it on the admin side of things is really interesting. And then, yeah, that ties in with impact of building principle because just trying to use more of the data side of things and looking at more concrete evidence rather than just like the emotional response to it. I definitely need to work on that area. So trying to gather, again, as much data as possible is really important too. And then just asking for help and wisdom is really important as well. And then here's my references. Thank you.